many, many nights of debauchery on the streets of Soho. Caught doing something else outside GAY once.
Are we talking about this?
I'm not telling you anything.
Oh, Poppy's just shown us her dildo.
Oh, that's a rabbit.
Podcast right here. So
Welcome to That's So Gay, the podcast where we celebrate, talk about and unpack all things queer. I'm Frankie and I'm here with my co-hosts Poppy, Lucy and Katie. Together, we're four friends who met online, bonded over our chaotic group chats and decided to hit record so you can join the conversation too. Every week, we'll dive into the highs and lows of queer life in 2025, from identity and community to dating disasters, pop culture moments and the unhinged stories that make us laugh until we cry. So, whether you're gay, queer, questioning or just curious, grab a drink, get comfy and let's get into it.
Today we're talking all about what being queer in 2025 means to us. Introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'll lose the accent. So, hi, I'm Katie B. I'm one of the four crazies in this podcast. I'm newly out and, basically a raging lesbian.
Woo!
Give it up for Katie B.
Hi, I'm Poppy, 33 from London. Brep. I'm also gay as fuck, if you didn't know.
Poppy, are you sober right now?
I've had a few glasses of wino.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm 35 and I'm a trans woman. And yeah, I'm here representing all the trans sisters out there and trans people generally and non-binary people and all those people. So, hello.
I'm Frankie. I'm 33. I live in Hertfordshire. I've been out since I was 16, so officially been out of the closet longer than I was ever in, which is, I would say, a weird thought, but not really, because I can't actually remember a life before women. So, yeah, that's my intro.
I realised I forgot to mention my age. I'm 25. I'm the baby.
The baby of the group.
Okay. Do we want to know what I learnt today? So, I learnt that walruses are in fact not a mythical creature.
You thought it was a mythical creature?
Have I not told you this before? Yes. So walruses, they're actually real. They're not like a unicorn.
Do you think all animals with like a spike on their heads are mythical?
No, because they have musks. What are they called? Tusks.
Don't
They
that
have
reminds me
those.
of Elon Musk when Poppy thought he was called Elon Muse.
Elon Muse. Starlink.
That video call absolutely killed me.
No, I can't.
Oh, so
Have
I would
you
like to
ever
share with
watched
the
The Never-Ending Story?
Never-ending story. No.
Yeah, have you never seen it? Oh, okay.
No.
You should watch that.
I have to say, I've been a
Do you want to know
hermit
something that I
mode.
found out?
What?
I found out that when you're born, your organs grow. I thought that when you were born, your organs inside you were the same size as to what they are now. But I recently
What,
found
so
out
did you think
only... I found
Did
out
you
that
think
your
animals
eyes...
just had very tiny little organs?
Yeah, so I thought that so basically I found out that your organs, your eyes stayed the same, but your organs inside grow. But I literally thought, I forgot she's gone, but I thought that your heart and your organs were all the same size inside here. But then obviously people were telling me but the brain grows. And I was like, I wasn't talking about the brain, I was talking about this bit here. But obviously a baby is this small, aren't they? Ugh.
For episode 1 of our podcast, which is all about all things queer, we thought we would talk about what it means to be queer in 2025, because there are lots of things good and there are lots of things that are bad about it. We were ranting and raving about this the other day, some of the things, social media being helpful and not so helpful. Katie, you've been out for 5 minutes in the grand scheme of things. How have you found it coming out in was it 25 or was it 24?
Officially, the first time I ever came out to anyone was 2023, actually.
Oh.
That was when I had my big revelation that women are the best ever.
They are.
Yeah, no, they are. So, yeah, it's a unique ride. I think obviously it's a lot better than it was back in like our parents' generation, but also there's a lot of labels.
Yeah, do you think there's more now than... Well, I think there's more now.
There is more
I
now.
can't imagine coming out in the last like couple of years and having to like battle through all these made up words that actually don't really mean that much when you dig into it.
Yeah, I'm like, where do I fit then? Because I'm not femme enough to be a femme. I'm not masc enough to be a masc. Do I have to immediately label myself a lesbian because now I like women? Why can't I just be queer? But some generations don't like queer.
Yeah.
Some generations don't like lesbian. So what can I use and what can't I use? It's difficult.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Pops? I mean, obviously you came out ages ago, but being gay in
but I feel
25,
more-
like social media and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I came out later. Like, I've still been gay for like, I've been out for like a while now, but it's still like later in my life per se. So like, I get why it's hard for Katie to have those revelations and like find your place in the world. Because when I first came out, I was like, at first I was bi, and then I was just using queer as well for ages, and I was just like trying to really just find out where I like fit in, because I think I always obviously knew deep down that I was, but until I was with a girl, I didn't want to put a label on it. And you know, and it's just such a straight world we're in, and especially as we're both quite, I feel like we're all quite femme presenting anyway, it's hard. People don't know you're gay, people don't hit on you, they don't, you know, it is harder. So I think when I first came out, I had this like pride ring that I was wearing, because I was like, I'm gay. Like, be at work with all the
Like,
lesbians
please
coming in,
notice
like,
me.
yeah.
Please, yeah.
I'm gay, everyone.
I agree. I think that, like, yeah, it's great. There's more, like, acceptance and stuff, obviously, as times go on. Well, you'd think. Let's not talk about the state of the way the world is ran. But, you know, in society, you'd like to think that, like, things get more accepting, which is great. But, like, yeah, the more terminologies and stuff that come up, the more boxes you feel like you don't fit in when you already feel like you don't fit in anyway. Because you're queer. So, yeah, I definitely see your point there, Pops. So what do you reckon, Lucy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the world has changed quite a bit recently, and I think that attitudes seem to be changing quite a lot. Obviously, being a trans person, there's a lot going on there as well. But my journey is more, I guess I didn't necessarily, my sexuality didn't change, it's my gender that changed, therefore the sexuality kind of carried over with that, I guess. Like, who was...
Yeah, so you actually had to have two big journeys then, really, because obviously your gender affirming journey has been like what's sort of put you in the lesbian category. So must have had to have two big reactions from people in your life and things to navigate, which must have been quite challenging on so many levels.
Yeah, I think the sort of the sexuality and like how I identify has always been more of a battle, I'd say. Not necessarily from people that are close to me. I will say there are misconceptions. I do get a lot of people who assume that because I'm trans that I'm straight, or they get confused about this idea that your identity kind of shifts your sexuality. So if you're transitioning and you prefer like women, or AFAB people, or maybe, or like non-binary adjacent as well, like all of that kind of category, basically not cis men, you don't fancy cis men, then I think people think, oh, I just assumed that you'd like guys now, and it's almost like that's a prerequisite to kind of being trans. And it's like, actually there are quite a lot of people who that,
I wonder if that's indicative of how much society equates gender and sexuality. Obviously the kind of masses generally still see like men being with women and women being with men. So if someone transitions gender-wise, then naturally in their heads, because of like, how things are for them in their worlds, in the straight world, oh, well, naturally, everything else must have shifted. I don't know why.
Hetero norms.
Yeah, but I don't know why, when you think about it like that, they would ever think that's anything to do with it. I mean, that's like, I don't know. There's so many things you can feel is more authentic to you in life that's not going to change. I don't know, or that will change. Bizarre that people think that way.
Yeah, I think it's just another point on that as well. Like, I guess people almost, I think a lot of trans people that people are used to seeing on TV or around tend to be sort of gay first, then move, like however they identify originally. And obviously that's not to take away from the fact that some people are trans inside and they don't necessarily express that. So, trans people are trans, like that's a journey that they go on, and it's not to negate where they are before they transition. But I think they might identify as gay originally, and then they move over to being straight. So, and obviously that's kind of where I see the queer umbrella, is that it means that it's not just acknowledging the fact that you're kind of moving into the straight camp. You are kind of, you're someone who's still gender non-conforming, and that's kind of almost a celebration for me, so being queer. But I think it's an interesting kind of journey in itself. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts on it, Frankie, and like your journey as well.
Well, it's been weird for me thinking about my journey in comparison with your guys's, because I came out so young in comparison. I was 16 and social media wasn't what it was. And, I was very much navigating my journey on my own. I had MySpace. That's where I met my first girlfriend. It's quite funny, actually, how I ended up working in social media and was a lesbian. And, like, my first real romantic connection was with a girl on MySpace. Oh, it's like a full
It was
circle
meant to be.
Girl.
But, so I came out. I was at school when I came out. I was, like, one of the, if not the only lesbian in the school, as far as I knew looking back. Wasn't so easy all the time. There were a lot of crazy misconceptions and outdated notions and stuff, even in 2008, which is when it was. It's mad to think of like the different times that we're in. So I definitely have an appreciation for the more acceptance we have nowadays. However, I often look back and think how lucky I would have felt to have had the social media representation that kids nowadays do coming out, because it would have been a great support. I really could have done with that back then. However, saying that, there are downsides, obviously, and that is that while good things and acceptance can spread like wildfire with things like social media, so can bad stuff. And obviously, the more acceptance and the more education and the more we speak about things, the more the kind of arseholes get hold of that information. And then that stuff gets spread around social media too. So while I didn't have any of the kind of support situations and stuff like that people nowadays do, I also didn't have any of like the really widespread hate. I only had the immediate hate and challenges from my immediate life in the village, you know what I mean? So I think that's where I'm at. I'm very grateful to be in 25 in the UK. Sounds crazy to say that, but in comparison with other places in the world at the moment, as a gay woman. But yeah, it is really interesting thinking about when I came out to how it is now for people. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think it's great we can have these communities and share conversations and really important stuff. But yeah, the downside is obviously how quick the hate can spread too, and the misinformation. I mean, yeah, we've all seen it on TikTok, right? How, what it's like, one of your videos ends up on the wrong side of TikTok and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly that. And I also think as well, like, because you came out when you did, you have a better understanding of maybe why certain things are, let's call it the law. So the law of why, for example, we spoke about this the other day briefly, why the word lesbian is deemed as bad.
Yeah.
And so I had my first interaction with that because obviously I'm newly out. I don't know these things. It's a complete new world. And so I had an interaction in which I was told not to call myself a lesbian and had never experienced that before.
Yeah, and you came to us and you were like, I know it feels... You knew it was obviously like the person saying that to you was wrong weird. And it's not a cool thing to say, but you knew why. You didn't have the kind of words to be able to explain the why, but you were on the right lines when you came to us because you just knew that it was like, hang on a sec, like, you can't tell me what to call myself.
Literally, like if I'm going to label myself, I'm going to do it, whether you say it's okay or not. So it just, I don't know, it just felt strange. It felt weird. It felt a bit almost invasive of the progress that I've made.
Do you find as well, because obviously like you've got like a lot of gay mates and you kind of like, you know, we've got things like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. The words like queer and lesbian are sort of used so freely and like applauded within our communities. You know how it's kind of like an echo chamber online. We see what we interact with and vice versa. So when you then have all that positivity, then you go out into like the real world, and then some like random in a shop or whatever says you can't call yourself a lesbian. Do you find that quite jarring? Because your online experience is really uplifting. Yeah,
100%. Like I was just a bit like, so the interaction was with, let's just say a family friend. And I said, you know, I basically had come out to her in that moment because I hadn't told her before, just not out of choice, just because it just hadn't really come up. And so, you know, I said, oh yeah, I've been dating this girl, like blah, 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 blah. And I said, you know, I'm just basically a big raging lesbian. And she goes, oh, don't call yourself that. No, we don't use that word. And I was kind of a bit shocked and went, all right, I'm gay then. Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm gay then. And she was like, no, we don't use that word either.
What do we use then, lady?
What would you like me to call myself then? Because I'm a woman who likes women, who doesn't think about men anymore.
Next time, Katie, pull up a list of some of like the worst phrases you can, and then just be like, "Is this okay?" Instead, but completely straight face. Be like, "Rug muncher."
Yeah, should I call myself a big rug munching dyke?
Yeah, say that.
Fucking hell.
What's her response then? What did she give you any indication in the end, or was it?
Yeah, so it was. I know that it was coming from a good place because I know her heart, but also it was very like, oh, I have a lesbian friend, but we don't call her a lesbian. She just goes for the person. I said, well, then that's pansexual. Oh yeah, but we don't use labels. I was like, but why? Like, if that person doesn't want to use a label, that's fine.
I find it seems to make the straight people uncomfortable, even when we're happy to use labels and we'll describe them, but they're like, they almost shy away from it like it's dirty words.
But if you then don't label yourself, they're like, well, what are you?
Well, exactly, you can't bloody
what do you want?
like, what do you label yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're like, can you label yourself? And then you do, and they're like, they're not that much. You young people care about labels way too much.
Yeah, but her response kind of was, oh, well, you know, like I have a friend and we don't call her a lesbian, but she basically is. And she was like, you know, lesbian just, it doesn't sound nice. Like, and then she was like, but I love you to pieces. And like, whoever you want to be, like, you be you. Like, if you want to love women, you love women. It doesn't make a difference. You're still one of the best people I know, and you have the kindest heart, and you need to learn your self-worth and blah, blah, blah. So it was genuinely coming from, like, a good place, but also...
It's those attitudes towards certain words and how it sounds. I do believe that's a hangover from, you know, decades before us when you know, I mean, it still is used as an insult, but, you know, back in, like, say, the 80s, for example, you know, calling someone a lesbian was like, you know, the worst thing you could be.
Back to the point about like labels and how people label as well. I've got a few older gay friends. I've got one particular who says that because he's cis man, but he's a lovely person, very accepting of me, and but he has said before that, like, obviously, like a lot of his older gay friends don't understand a lot of the trans kind of identities, and they also don't like the word queer being used.
I've heard that.
And it's like really interesting, just generationally, what is going on at the minute, and obviously the reclaiming of the word dyke as well, and this like the Dyke Project and other groups that are like really like pushing for that word to be reclaimed.
Yeah.
And there has been an interesting debate about, like, I know a couple of people have said to me about the word, well, I'll say it, no, I don't know if I could say it in context, but like the derogative of trans person or trans, you know, so I personally don't like that word. I think there's so much more to fight for before I can feel like that is a word that we have truly like reclaimed as a positive phrase.
I've noticed the younger generation who are almost using that slur in a reclaiming way, like say even 10 years younger than you, Lucy, and it's interesting, follows that same pattern, doesn't it? that you were just saying about the word queer almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously some of the meme accounts for like trans people use it as well in a very humorous way. You know, and even terms like dolls is, I think it had a bit of a not great connotation originally in the past. I think it was very heavily used by trans medical trans like women or trans people. And there's like there's a bit of a rift in the subculture, or like the identity there about, you know, some people are like, you must transition in every way before society can accept you as a trans person. And some people are like, I don't need to take hormones at all or do all of this stuff. I am trans in my own body and my identity. So there's a really interesting like discussion there as well, which sometimes is generational, but actually that's really dependent on people and person to person.
Yeah, and
labels are so interesting.
They really are, and to me, that whole kind of line of thinking that you just brought up brings me back to the fact that in 2025, there's so much noise and opinions and journeys being shared constantly, and we have access to all of it on our phones. And sometimes it's really amazing being able to see all the different like thought process of people within our community. But then, like you say, you then unfortunately get a window into the souls of people who want you to do X, Y, and Z before you can possibly live your authentic life, who want you to spend X, Y, and Z amount of money before you can possibly feel yourself. And it's similar for people who aren't trans as well. You know, maybe people have got like a preconceived notion of what they think a gay man should look like, what a gay woman should look like, what a bisexual person should look like, what does non-binary mean. I'm sure they've got their opinions on that too. And I think in the past, you know, these mindsets and like prejudiced viewpoints have existed, but because we didn't have access to like, it's almost like with social media, we've got a window into every private conversation that used to happen behind closed doors. And now we're kind of in a world where we've got so much access to everything, but in a way that's so damaging too, to protect your peace and filter out the bollocks from the good stuff. Do you know what I mean?
It's both amazing and also detrimental. It's both.
Because exactly. And like, you know, those views you probably only read about in the newspaper, and you'd hear a bigot talking about it down the pub, and then you could walk away and put the paper in the bin. But now everyone has an opinion and likes to talk about it on 15 different social accounts at a time. it's a nightmare.
The trolls.
and you know, they reach out to people who maybe are feeling very neglected by society, or just aren't being engaged in the right ways. And of course then that creates this sense of like, they build followings really fast, you know, like there are lots of people out there. I mean, you take Andrew Tate and people like that, but there are lots of other people that are building like anti-gay, anti-trans, like anti-LGBTQ, just generally kind of movements. But they might be really small micro movements, but they're like, they're growing, and they're getting really, because people are looking for answers. Why do I feel this way about why is society neglecting me? Oh, it must be this person, so I'm going to blame it on them. Or it must be that person because they're different, they're other. I don't understand their life, and I'm not going to try and understand that. So therefore, they are someone that I must like stop or remove, or you know.
Definitely using the minorities as scapegoats to, you know, because it's easier. I think people are always looking for someone to blame, and if someone around the corner is visibly there, they can dislike, rather than the powers that be that, you know, are actually really large and complex, like, you know, the politics of the world and stuff. Should we talk a little bit about like the positives about being gay in 25? There are some. I mean, I'm sure we can all agree on like community. Like, I met the four of you thanks to the internet. The four of you? There's only three of you. I met the three of you, my imaginary friend, on the internet. And honestly, like, I've made so many friends online. And without it, like, I wouldn't have really any queer friends. And like, that's been life-changing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think obviously, like I say, like I had the big realization, holy shit, I like women in 2023. It's been 2 years. But you go through like an internalized homophobia thing, and you go through this and you go through that. But until really you have queer friends that have either been through it or who are also going through it, you don't really actually progress anywhere. And so for me personally, since I've made friends online, you guys, I've not understood my sexuality to the degree that I should have. I've not progressed in accepting who I am to the degree that I should have, and also haven't been really haven't felt validated at all, because I pass as straight so often, unfortunately. And I think since then, all of those things have been like a slow uphill kind of increase, and I've suddenly got like...
It's always going to be a journey, and I just think it's lovely if you've got people around you that you can feel, you know, like your thoughts and feelings are echoed by or have been heard, are being heard, have been through before. You're not alone. It's so much less isolating. And I think it's easy for people like me been out forever to forget how isolating it was, because I can't remember a life where I wasn't this person, but that's why, it's really nice getting a perspective from you, like being your friend and hearing about your journey and stuff. And yeah, so Defo community, I think, has obviously been super 100%. Helpful, not only for me, but for you too. What about you, Pops? Best thing about being gay in 25, you can't say community because we already said that.
Oh, for fuck's sake, just my friends. I don't know, I just feel like more confident in myself since, you know, coming out.
Oh, I thought you were going to say tits.
Actually, my tits.
That's for the other podcast, isn't it?
Right? Dirty Wolf 2.0. Yeah, just like be more confident in myself, I guess, really. And like, women are great.
Women are great. I feel like you've had a big journey this year, though, Pops. Like, I know that it's not about like necessarily being gay, but like you've had a journey of like self-discovery and what you really want and stuff. And I feel like, I don't know, this year's been a bit pivotal for you.
And I feel like there's a lot of things like, oh, lesbians can't be toxic. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're in a relationship with someone, you can still be toxic regardless. I think there's that mad notion that like only men are toxic, that only men can be sexually abusive and all that. But actually, I think we've all found out this year that they're, you know, that's not true. And that
I think it
women
doesn't
can
matter
be
what
just
gender you are,
toxic.
the toxicity, and unfortunately that kind of toxic masculinity, not from, you know, the gender you were born at birth, but from the way that society puts it on us with the patriarchy, seeps into every bloody category of life, it would seem, which is like, we can't avoid
Dating
it.
women is not always easier, as they like to say.
No, so many people think that, don't they? And it's like,
I know, it's so rude. No, you don't understand.
Female emotions.
I thought of a really good thing about being gay in 25, which is that, drumroll please, it's that, like, there's so many like gay celebrities and stuff now. So like when I came out, there was like no one. I had like Ellen DeGeneres, and I had the L word, and I was like,
Ellen
right.
DeGeneres.
So when I came out, I cut my hair really, really short, but then I also had it pink. I looked like a little eraser on the end of a pencil, and it was honestly not a look. And because I'm so short, I just looked like a tiny pink boy running around. It was just like the worst. Anyway, there was a point to me saying this. Oh yeah, so there was like no celebrity or media representation of gay women at all who weren't the more traditional kind of more masculine presenting. So I was like, well, I better do all these things, as that's what you do. Thank God I realised I didn't have to do that, and I could just dress how I felt comfortable doing after a while. But yeah, I think it's awesome. There's so many like celebrities and stuff now. Like, although I'm not a fan of her music, as you guys know, I mean, I think she's talented, but not for me. Chapel Roan, obviously lesbian. It's nice to see someone in the mainstream like that. Got like Charlie XCX when she collaborated with Billie Eilish on that song. Loads of other
girls.
What's
Those
that?
two Rebel Wilson and the other girl from Pitch Perfect. They both came out recently.
Oh my God, I was so happy when I saw their wedding picture.
I know, it's like, yeah.
I think
And
it
then
was
the
their
other
wedding
girl.
picture. Quite cute.
Demi Sims from Towie, she's gay.
I don't watch Towie, but is she? That's cool.
Yeah, she's dating what's her face from Made in Chelsea. They've got together.
Oh,
Yeah, really
reality show
cute.
couple.
Yeah, gay couple for the win.
But yeah, also in things like I Kissed a Girl, when that TV show came out last year.
Yes.
Like my teenage heart, I remember dreaming about, wouldn't it be cool if there was a TV show and it was like an island full of women? Like my little teenage dreams, I was like, and then it came true and it was on national TV. I was like, in what universe? Not only was I like, teenage me was like, oh, getting married will always be illegal. Thank God it now isn't. And now I can watch women on TV on an island. Like, I love being gay at 25.
As someone who's newly out, I will say that I Kissed a Girl was like a, holy shit, yeah, okay, I like women. Like, it was like a moment, and I was like, oh, okay.
It was so nice to see something on telly that just made it so seem so normalised. Like, we can have like a Love Island too.
Yeah, gay Love Island for the win.
Lucy, what do you think is good about, like...
What about 2025? I think that I've definitely grown in confidence, and I think that's because I'm in that point in my transition where I'm starting to explore. Like, when you transition, like, you do get a bit of a like, what the hell am I? Who am I now? You know, like, what am I into? Who am I into? What do I like? What do I not like? You know, what are these new experiences? So I've been really enjoying, like, obviously being in the group of people that I have been in and exploring some of that, and just seeing all the changes that I'm coming out of transitioning as well. I'm feeling more confident in myself that way. And I think just surrounding myself, it is the community aspect of it. I think communities are needed more now more than ever. And, you know, in the face of what we have to work with, and the people in power, and some of those pushback from you know, everywhere else, other corners, you know, I mean, just individually as a trans person, I've got loads of barriers coming up and loads of barriers to face. So it's really nice to have allies around me and people who do support me. And that's something I've been working on quite a lot this year, and that's been really nice. But yeah, it has been a bit tricky, you know, I'd say as a queer person in 2025. But that is a positive. The community has been like the strongest part of that. And maybe snogging like up to 20 people, you know, that's been pretty cool.
Okay, guys, so on that note, and to like continue with the positivity, so we've all been on several nights out together the last 6 months. I want to hear, and this is with for the listeners, this is with our group of queer friends. Can anyone share some, and keep names out of it obviously, but a positive, like, funny story that happened to you during one of our many, many nights of debauchery on the streets of Soho? I think for me it would have to be when I went flying during a game of tug of war, a boozy game of tug of war. At a picnic once.
Literally plummeted to the floor.
Yeah. Again, with friends I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for the internet, so.
Literally. I can't think.
And also snogging was fun. Lots of snogging.
Yeah, lots of snogging.
I've never participated in that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right, girl.
Oh, dancing on the table.
Baby gay, right?
Poppy dancing on the table at GAY.
Right.
Yeah,
you
to
using
get
the term
kicked off
baby
by
gay?
the bouncer. He was like, get off, and I was like, okay.
Didn't you get caught doing something else outside GAY once?
Are we talking about this?
Tell, I don't know this.
And not just once, babe.
Oh, she's a serial offender.
Oh, what were you doing? Actually, I probably already know, to be honest.
Yeah, go on, Poppy, share. Sharing is caring.
So
Wait, is this a queer memory, or are you going to refer to, like, the OG?
No, I won't talk about people, but I will just say that, like, I like activity on the stairs, and then it became a thing of, like, Poppy is going to be on the stairs of GAY, and I was just like, and then someone was like, I'm going to get a clipboard out. I was like, you're fucking not. But yeah, there was a lot of
Clipboard?
I thought you were going to share the story of why you got known as the girl who likes doing stuff on the stairs from work, but that is for another time.
Yeah, that wasn't my straight era.
Another podcast. That one we mentioned earlier. God knows what that was about.
I think my favourite moment of our nights out, I'm trying to think, there are two.
Oh, I've got another one that involves you, Lucy.
One was acquainting the drain outside Gay.
That was going to be mine. But what made it was the way that the voice note sticker thing. So after we found you being sick into the drain, everyone was like holding like your hair and being really cute and like helpful. I sent a voice note the next day like, "Oh Lucy, I hope you feel better. Do you remember when everyone was around you and it was really cute?" But the transcript just said, "Do you remember when you were being sick?" And it was really cute.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. Crack
I made a
on.
new friend that night, and one that I will never forget. And I'm trying to think. There was another one. There's been so many. I think it was where back along one of the first meets that I went to, just having the time of my life in the house, laughing my head off at like all the terrible karaoke that we were doing.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
And the game that we played, which was like, there was like, one of those icebreaker games. And I think I got accused of something that I was just like, wow, that's so left field. Not for this podcast, but I was like, I'm not telling you anything. But yeah, that was pretty funny. That was such an icebreaker, honestly. I was like, oh my goodness me, I'm so overloaded because there's like 20 people in a very small house. But yeah, there's some funny moments, yeah.
Talking of not being straight, sorry. Lucy, please can you share about that thing that you grew and gave to Poppy that she revealed on a coach home to us? Because
Please.
for the audience, Lucy has an allotment and she grows like vegetables and stuff. Poppy went to hers and came back with a haul. This did not look like a vegetable.
It was just a cucumber that was shaped like a what was it called? A clit.
It was shaped like one of those dildos that goes in your vag and in your bum at the same time. There was a bulbous bit for the G-spot. There was it was a flared end.
There's all sorts going on. Oh, Poppy's just shown us her dildo.
Oh, that's a rabbit.
Podcast right here. Thank you.
I wish you guys could see, but she's just brought out her little dildo.
The thing is, it's also frozen, so she's just waving pink silicone around.
Hey, here's a dildo.
Poppy, where's the cute Clit 3000? Have you eaten it, or is it up your bum?
And that's a wrap on our very first episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us while we overshared, laughed at ourselves, and hopefully gave you something queer and fun to pop into your ears.
What do you think about being gay in 2025? What does it mean to you? Challenges, highlights, positives, negatives, we want to know it all.
Please do hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the episode next time. And if you really liked it, please do tell your queer mates. You can even tell your favourite straight ally if you want, and we won't judge. Please do send us your stories, dilemmas, hot takes. You can find us at the socials listed in the description below. Until then, stay gay, stay chaotic, and we'll see you next time.